people will realize right away. So we're live.
Okay.
Let's say good morning, everybody. So I'm
Morning.
just going to get Instagram live too. So go live on Instagram, and then we should be online. Yeah.
I'll double check.
All right.
Yep. We're good.
So I just can't see. So just say one more time. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Triton Live here from the Great Barrier Reef. And we have obviously our perfect box guest with us. Salem. Salem is here. Say hi, Salem. Out of your
Hi
box.
everyone.
Say hi.
I'm live from the box. I'm still in my box, as
Oh
you can
wait.
see.
I wow, I can't hear you. Wait a second.
Oh,
Can you
can you hear me now?
just see? Mute mic. Now wait a second. I'll just mute you and then unmute you.
How about yes?
Say one more thing.
Can you hear me?
Your sound is not there.
Yeah.
Your sound. Wait.
Yes. No.
Dude, our Mesha is on. Mesha, can you hear Salem? It was working beforehand, so
I
I
didn't
would
change
possibly need to
anything.
do something.
Yeah. No. You still can't hear me now.
Wait, I'll remove you for a second and I'll put you in again. Let's see it. So okay, add to stage. Say something, Salem? No. Because
What about now? No.
I'm pretty sure I need to do something for you. But why is that happening?
Yes. No.
People. Oh yeah, wait a sec. What is this? Say something.
Testing.
It's showing
Yes.
up
No.
here,
Maybe
but
so. Let me quick.
you should be there. All right, Selva's trying to figure out that stuff, and you guys just I'll look at this thing too. Okay, so you can hear both. This I can't hear him. Salem.
Yep. Can you hear me? No.
So Salem is running into another room of his box. Nastia is on. Salem. It's just me. They can hear you. It's just me. Mesha is saying they can hear you. So it's just me. And just say something
What about
again.
now? Does that work? Or no?
That's strange. That's very strange. I think they can hear you. I think they all can hear you.
Can you hear me?
So a lot of people are jumping in and commenting. Hey to everybody, we're just trying to figure out why I can't hear Salem. Yeah, Linda can hear you, Salem. But that's gonna be hard though, if I can't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
So it's very strange why this is kind of blocking his thing.
Can you
No,
hear
it's
me?
all right, Salem. You say like you are. I'll just try to figure out how this works.
Yes.
Because
It's going to go through the
kind of
options.
I think it's kind of the the one I just talked to him 2 seconds ago before we went live. So since we're live, it's not working.
Still not working?
So that mic is okay.
Still not
Camera
working?
is okay. Nah, Linda can hear you. Everybody can hear you except me.
What?
So this need to be something with my computer, man. Oh, here you go. So we are right now. That is all working. Oh, very strange, very strange. I think I need to. Do you want to? Okay, you know what? I'll remove you, Matt. I'll get you out.
I'll try to rejoin.
Use the same thing. Come in again. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll just kick you out. Okay. So, all right. Let's see if that works, guys. Anyway, tech problems because, I mean, it's always hard when you try to set up live streams out of a box, you know. So might be his internet in the box. might might be our fault. So I hope. Okay, so he's on. Let's try to add him to the stage. Say something. No, damn it, it's not working. I my everything is up. So why is this? Oh, here you go. Say something.
Testing. Hear me? No?
Gotcha. Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Okay. All right.
So
All right.
so I had to switch to my MacBook mic. Let's see if you can hear me after this.
Okay, go. Now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I don't know what we
All
did, but there we go. It
right.
works now. Okay, we're good.
Yeah,
Cool.
I just said it's because you're setting up your live stream out of the box, and you know it's hard. It's hard. It's hard, isn't it?
Very bad acoustics in here and cardboard, I'll tell you that.
Stop, mate. So it is the best time of your life. It is the best time of your life. I know that. I know that for sure. For sure, I know that. So great. Great to have you on, Salem. Let's run this. Let's see
Cool.
what people have questions. And obviously, this live is about Salem in his box setting up. And I right now said you have another room in this box and stuff, so people know that you're feeling good. Can you just say that?
You can see my window view here. It's very nice. got the ocean, the beach side. I've got my monster. I've got an autoclave to do the lab work they forced me to do, and I've got this UV lamp here, so I get my vitamin D for the day. I stay tan a little bit. Got my dosing pump.
Yeah. So when you're back, your family actually expects you to be a bit tanned. That's why when you're going to Australia, obviously people always think you get a lot of sun. So yeah, that's good. That's good. I like it. I like it. And can you also say again, like I'm not forcing you. Just say that you're feeling good. You're very happy, and it's the best time of your life.
I'm really good in the box, everyone. It's going well. They've not supplied me with toiletries. It's been quite an interesting problem to solve, but we're here. We're doing work for Triton behind the scenes. Best house yet I've been supplied by a job. I'll tell you that.
I love it. I love it, man. That's good. It's good to let you out a little bit, Salem. It's good for you too. I know you don't want it. I know you just want to stay in there and have a good life, but sometimes you need to come out. You need to help some people, mate. All right, everybody. So this will be a normal life actually that we have every Sunday. So it's like my life. You can ask all your questions. Don't worry about it. You can just shoot them. We'll read them. Linda is on. She will do her part. So she'll look at Instagram, bring the questions in. So everybody on Instagram, I know we can't see your questions, but it's just all right. And also what I realized is I can't see everybody's jumping on, only if you comment, right? So don't get crazy. Even if you're on and I don't see it's you because I don't see you on. Do you see all the do you see anything? Salem? No, you can't see anything.
I have YouTube only, so there should be. We'll have to mess around in the settings of StreamYard. I know how to change that.
Yeah. That's but
That'll
I'm happy later. I'm happy I can hear you at least. That's good.
Yeah, we can talk.
Yeah, that's the only important thing, and it's good that you have the UV behind you. So let's go. So if you if you have any questions, just shoot them. So Salem is here for a reason. We have obviously, Salem is our scientific communicator, and that means that he will help us a lot to make that core of Triton that is actually very scientific, reachable for you guys. So what I thought over the years in the past is the main difference of Triton to other companies around or the industry itself is that we approach things very scientific. We try to kind of have a reason for what we sell or what we do, right? And we put a lot of effort in there that nobody else does. But it also kind of comes with a downside of being able to communicate all those things. And yeah, I mean, I met Salem, on the show, and I met Salem in Reef Builders and stuff, and I kind of realized that somebody like him or himself would be really good for Triton, to actually bring that information over to you to make you understand why we do things. And you hopefully can ask him everything when we let him finally out of the box.
Fill in the black.
but yeah, not yet, because right now he's very busy inside the box just to survive. But no, he's having the best time in his life. So yeah, that's why Salem is here. So right now, I think Salem is setting up a Triton tank in his house, in his box, and yeah, and he came up with, reading that that kind of manual of the Triton method and having all these questions, right? So yes, and I thought, like, well, let's maybe run this thing here live, and he can ask his questions exactly like you can ask your questions, and we all learn from it. God, I thought that's maybe a good idea for the first time to go live with Salem, or we thought that, with the whole team thought that, and Salem thought that too. So let's just maybe start here, and Salem ask his questions from time to time.
That's already a few questions.
Oh, there's already a few questions on Instagram too. So
Oh, okay. What do you want to
maybe
start with?
yeah, maybe Salem, maybe let's just check the few questions on Instagram first. Maybe one of them is actually related to Triton
Yep.
stuff, and then you just look at your questions or whatever. So Aquarium Teacher is asking, question from Chile. Triton method now recommends active carbon and phosphate remover in the sump. The question is, should we use phosphate remover always? He have okay we have low values of phosphate. Okay, if there's low values of phosphate, I guess. He that's I've really not very often came along very low phosphate values. Okay. If this is the case, no, you shouldn't use a phosphate remover, but that will fluctuate your phosphate a lot. So it is a bit of a very specific, very, very rare problem, because as soon as you have fish and you feed them in a regular way with the same amount, kind of, you shouldn't run out of phosphate. But that's a very specific question. That's not many people have that problem, and otherwise you should always use for phosphate remover. Yeah, you should, just because you don't want to have the peak of phosphate coming up in your tank when, let's say, a fish dies or something dies that you don't even see behind the rocks or something like that. Then you will get that peak, and you don't want that. So the phosphate remover is literally not there to remove all the phosphate. It is there to reduce that peak coming up, and that's way more harmful than slowly going up with your phosphate or slowly going down in your phosphate. There is no issue with that. And the phosphate remover is also not working as a filter that will, like, so a phosphate remover is a luck-based thing. So sorry, Salem, I just run that quickly. And that means that the phosphate will be bound by luck to the phosphate remover. So it's not like actively chasing phosphate. And that means that when your phosphate gets lower, also the contact time is lower. So you actually have, it's harder for the phosphate remover to reduce lower amounts of phosphate. All right, that's scientific. Maybe Salem can jump in and make it more understandable for people. but that's what I think. So you literally can actually run a phosphate remover even if your phosphate is low, But yeah, but very specific. Like, very low means under 0.01. That's very low. Okay, so normally my tank is outer barrier reef and 0.018 phosphate. Okay, so nothing else
Do you
on Instagram.
investigate about coral infections?
Salem, do we
Oh my.
investigate? Do we investigate about coral infections?
No,
Is my
never.
question.
I've never done that. No.
Yeah, yeah. You just talk about it, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah. No, yeah. Lot. Yes, that's what the lab is for in the box here. That's what the autoclave is. That's yes. We're doing
Yeah,
microbiology work, but that's soon to come. We won't talk about that right now.
yeah. That's all. That's all the difficult questions that actually we should do a live that is a bit more towards the super scientific
Yeah,
know.
that would be a 30-minute answer to that question alone,
Yeah.
probably. That'd be a whole
And
live.
but it's good. It's good because we can create like more lives. We could possibly just have another life. Like it is my Sunday life. That's all right. But we could do another life where you and me just come and sit down and go for the nerdy questions. Let's say that, like the high end ones that people kind of will not not run in their tank, but just want to know about things that we do. That will be good too. Possibly just write that down and get that going.
Yeah.
Yes, that'll be good.
Yes,
That'll be good.
please.
Yes, please. Yep, no problem. Salem. Okay, can flucocancer, or I hate this word. You know what I'm talking
Fluconazole.
about. Yep. Kill bubble algae.
So I have a very Tritonified response to fluconazole usage. So I think fluconazole is kind of the same thing, as Triton views UV and ozone or filter socks. Fluconazole is a tool that has a lot of side effects. You're going to be killing the good and the bad. So what fluconazole actually is an antifungal agent. It's used to treat yeast infections. And we're adding that to our tank because someone figured out that it also kills algae. I have heard, like on Reef to Reef and things like that, that very, very high dosages will kill bubble algae. In my experience, it does not. But again, I would like to manage algae issues through natural means, whether it's balancing my nutrient ratios, adding herbivores, or manual removal. I see fluconazole as an absolute last option that's a very nuclear option. It might be needed for things like bryopsis, for instance, that are just or turf algae that are really hard to get rid of. But if you're running a balanced Triton system, then you likely are not going to have many algae issues. You're going to have the refugium to kind of outcompete those things, and you'll be in the proper ranges where they won't thrive. So that's my take on that.
I agree with the biological way. You can do that. I had that in my last life too. So you could possibly, if the tank is big enough, you can put a nozzle and they actually do that. You have the little crabs, they will eat them bubble algae, and bubble algae is not that bad too. Like it's not, in my opinion, it's not like the worst thing you can have in a tank. So try the crabs. What are the ghost? I
Farm
think.
Tracks
Yeah,
does not
emerald
kill bubble
crabs.
algae from his experience.
What? Which one?
Farm Tracks said, in his experience, it does not kill bubble
Yeah,
algae.
Farm Tracks is agreeing with you. It's not killing bubble algae in his experience. There's a guy
Yeah.
here, Sven from Germany. He's saying, Flux RX kills bubble algae.
That is fluconazole. So, like I say,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard some people say that really high dosages will kill it. I have not experienced that using it, but I didn't go crazy and use really, really high dosages. So,
The problem with the high dosage stuff is also that what Salem is saying, you be very careful because you kill other stuff too. Like as higher the dosage gets, it's more stuff it will kill. So it literally, when you have the goal would be to have something that just with a very low dose would go and kill the bubble algae. But the other way around, you can do that with lead and it will kill everything in your tank.
yeah.
Because, this is that kind of way it works. So yeah, be careful there. I in right here in my life, I wouldn't recommend anything like that. Just don't do it. Okay, for it is not my way of doing it, and I can't recommend it. If you still want to do it, then it's you. But for everybody listening and just hearing about this in a Triton tank or something, do not do it. There's other ways before that that I would approach.
It would likely kill the refugium to some extent, especially some species. And like I said, it's an antifungal. Corals have funguses that live inside of them. There's
Yeah.
underwater saltwater fungus, and a lot of the big coral farmers I've talked to, like Top Shelf Aquatics, after they use fluconazole, they've got like a 20 to 50% reduction in alkalinity consumption for like a month after. So it's definitely doing something to the corals, which is not ideal. So yeah.
I agree. Okay, so then Sven, the same guy that is saying it works, but still the German guy, he's asking, why am I using more chloride with Triton? More chloride. Sven, you need to tell me how you measure that you're losing chloride. Maybe that's just a typo. I just can't answer that. Sorry, man. Just you should use more chloride. Chloride is not used that old, kind of. And he's saying, okay, I'm using Triton since 2012. In the whole time, my nitrate is 0. It's need to have to do with Triton. So okay, because I think he says he changed over to another competitive product, but that's it. He's not, and then say like, but he's tested it because he knows that it is Triton keeping the nutrients low, because he moved over to another product and it's going up. Maybe I don't. It's kind of. Is there any more? No, it's not more.
Yeah, give
All right.
us some more information and we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it's just ongoing. It's also in German. It's fine. Sven, du kannst ruhig in Deutsch schreiben, ist kein Problem. Aber schreib noch ein bisschen mehr Info da rein, bitte, weil wir sind gerade ein bisschen aufgeschmissen sonst. Ich muss auch noch übersetzen. All right, that was German. Salem, just to let you know. So
I have more questions.
okay,
here.
more questions on Instagram, and then we come to your questions. Then
Mhm.
then we come to your questions. Let's see. What was it?
Oh, Robbie Arifa.
Robbie Arifa. Robbie Arifa. Yep. Okay. Hi guys, I run a LPS dominant system with no water changes. We must keep nutrients low. What's the limit for this? My nitrates are 10, PO4 is 0.09. Yeah, so it's what loser usually aim for. Okay, what is it what you usually aim for? Oh, these typos are killing me.
No, this is what I usually
Ah,
aim for.
Okay,
And then what's considered high nutrients on Triton?
what's considered high nutrients on Triton? Okay, so you're all right with your LPS on 10 to 0.1, let's say, phosphate. In my opinion, that's not bad. You don't need to keep them high. You can keep them lower. There's no issue with that. You just need to kind of have a little bit of food available for your LPS, because that's what they like. They normally live in mud, Rob. So they're different to the corals on the rock. Okay, so where they're from, the water is very like what we see every time, and what hopefully, Salem would see when he's out of the box in Australia, and I'll take him. I'll put the box on the boat, and he will see it possibly. But it's that there's a lot of particles in there. We're looking at what these particles are too, so to make sure we understand it a bit better. But it is different habitats, so it is literally not more nitrate or phosphate in there, but in that particles there is way more load of nutrients, so it is, the water itself is the same, but that particle stuff is different. So just make that to make you understand. What you could have with too high nutrients is that you create another environment water-wise that then causes something to grow that you don't want to grow, because that's then not the same habitat anymore. So for example, algae could be way, benefited then, and they will be happier and they will grow, and then kind of hurt your corals because they're fighting for the same spot. And that's the same actually with an SPS tank too. So it's not like the corals do not like nutrients. They actually just maybe turn a little bit brown because they have more zooxanthellae. They actually get happier, to be honest. They get, but the passive pressure of that environment, that other like life forms that grow next to them all of a sudden, and they wouldn't be able to grow, like little algae and boring algae and stuff like that. That's the point of stress that they can't take. So they really went to a spot with low nutrients because they don't have any competition there. That's the adaptation that they made over the million of years, right? So looking at it from that perspective, it's a very scientific perspective, but it is that real perspective. You understand why you try to keep your nutrients low, because you want to give them the habitat that they evolved to over the years, which is free of anything that kind of, threatens them somehow. That's what we talk about bubble algae right now. That's why we talk about aptasia. That's why we talk about all these things that grow where they shouldn't, and these things also adapted to nearly the same parameters. So that's why we see them as a threat. But if you go higher with your nutrients, you end up having more of them around. That's the point. Like more other things that actually can grow than at the same time, and you don't want that. That's why you keep them low. I do not have a border for that. Like I don't say high is high. I just really say like normally nitrates of 2 is sufficient. And even if you're on 0, it's not too bad for SPS, for example. But 2 to 5, that's a very healthy thing that I can see in nature sometimes too. And phosphates I try to keep low anyway, because phosphates is a bit different than nitrates. Also harder to, it's very harder, much harder to control. So, people in the past, they went easy for the 1 to 10 ratio. If you want to go more detailed, you can go with that NDoc write-up that I have, the Triton ratios, which I think Salem and me will jump on that and explain it a bit more and maybe rewrite it a little bit. That will be good.
That'd be another really long one. That'd be another
Yes.
whole live to talk
Yes.
about nutrient ratios. But
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's really just about, is it natural or unnatural? They're from clean waters where they're fed a lot, and keeping that same environment's good. So
Yeah, exactly. And I think like, yeah, we jump maybe on it and rewrite that a little bit, should be fine.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
That's an interesting question.
no, Sunshine Coast Coral's saying, what a hoodie. Yes, Matt. I said, I'll wear it the whole year, because we smashed it. We smashed it. Okay, good. All right. So just side rugby side stuff. Okay. Can a full and okay, what is it?
Reefing by design.
Yeah. So Nick is asking, can a full and complete diet be achieved by feeding mainly quality, flake, and what is that? Sparingly amount of frozen. Today's reefers seem to feed exclusively frozen and suffer from high nutrients. What do you think?
And then he added, a lot of reefers don't seem to know what's in the food or not in the food they are feeding.
Yep. You got that? You hear that? What Linda said?
Yeah. My take on fish nutrition is really case-by-case basis, kind of similar to coral. So obviously, if you're trying to feed a reef with a multitude of different fish, you're going to want a really broad spectrum of different things. But like, let's say if you're just keeping seahorses versus just tangs versus this, it's going to be a different answer to your question all along. I think that, let's assume it's just like a normal kind of mixed reef where you've got a mix of different fish, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, all of it, stuff that's eating planktonic stuff, picking off the rocks, cleaning stuff up. If you're wanting a kind of full spectrum diet, I think that frozen is going to get you a lot of the protein you're looking for, depending on the brand. It depends, and depending on what's frozen, like mysis, for instance, versus calanus, there's differences there. I think, though, that supplementing things like nori, supplementing flakes, supplementing pellets are all things that are going to give you a more full spectrum diet, because that frozen shrimp or whatever it is not going to have it all. So I really like, this is now talking about brands, but I like TDO a lot. I think that's top dress for that algae. I like it. But I also like the cold extruded foods that are out on the market now. So Vitalis and Nutrimar, to where those pellets are actually processed through something that doesn't break down all the proteins through heat and freeze drying. They're more like a dog pellet type of thing. So I like to use kind of feed them the buffet, give them, imagine if you had to eat ramen noodles every day, you probably wouldn't be healthy. So yeah.
Yeah, I am a bit different. I like ramen noodle every day. But I do not feed too much of that processed food, because it comes with other stuff. So I kind of try to reduce it, Nick. I'm not doing it as long as I don't need to. And like Salem's saying, I keep different fish too. So when you look at the fish itself, I like live food, right? So I have that video where I show people that I produce, and I also have very hard to keep fish, and I also get them right out of the ocean and stuff. Like right now, it's very different to when, they're shipped over and stuff like that. But I always look at it from perspective of water quality. So Salem is now looking at it as a biologist, and he looks at what is the best food for the fish, right? But I look at it from a perspective of I still need to care for all the waste afterwards, you know? So the waste factor is very big in dry foods, right? In processed foods, when you feed processed foods, the waste is higher, way higher than when you feed frozen. Um, the only way the frozen would cause more problems is when you do not wash it out. So when you actually use that liquid that it is in. And you need. I think that's kind of lost some of these tips and tricks. Got lost a little bit on the way. You know. Still, I have some people that wonder, oh, what? I thought I just dropped that cube in there and it's done. You know, but that's not the way it works. So you need to unfreeze it, wash it, wait a little bit, and then add that frozen food. And that is the lowest amount in my perspective, and I know that for contamination, like of that environment. So you come with two sides. You can go full on. I want to make the best thing for my fish. Then you will end up, but heavily, have, like, let's say, waste in your tank. And you need to balance that out. So you on the other hand, you can go, I'm not going to feed my fish. I only feed very little, so I don't mess up my water. But then your fish will suffer. So you need to balance that out. That's the special thing to it. And live food is really good because it's actually the lowest amount of waste and the highest amount, let's say, of like nutrient. Let's say they're not really for everybody, but it's very good, in nutrient, very fresh, let's say that. And that's also a possibility. So think about it. Yes. So yeah, now Sven is coming back, and I have Reef Tail Therapy on. Hey, Reef Tail Therapy. Here you go. So he was loving that video in the box, and he thought it's the joke, but it's not a joke. Reef Tail.
I'm in the
See
box.
him. He is in the box, right? And can you explain that UV light one more time for him, because I think
Yeah,
he would like
it's very dark in the box, and obviously you got to have sunlight or vitamin D. So I've got this UV lamp here. I stand under it for a couple hours a day to make sure I come back with a tan. My family, my girlfriend, they'll think that I was in Australia on the beach. But I've been in the box working. I do have the beachfront view though. So
Yeah, someone else as well.
Yes.
Tell him, how was that trip in the dark? Matthew.
well, it's not too dark. They gave me a window, thankfully, so
Yeah,
it's better
yeah.
now.
You can apply for things in the box. So if you apply for a window, you can get a window. If you apply for autoclave, he wasted all his money on autoclaves, so all his eligible things. But it's fine. I would went for I went to a toilet, man. But it's your decision.
I sacrificed the toilet for the autoclave and the monster. I had to call OSHA to get the window.
Oh my god, it's so all right. So Sven is saying his ICP test is coming back with low amounts of chloride. So, and then he tries to add it, because always he need to add chloride. Sven, that's very unusual. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is a very, I don't know if I hope you're testing with us, but if you're testing and your chloride is low, it's a very unusual thing, because our chloride is calculated based on your sodium and the rest of the elements. So it's actually not measured, right? And because we don't do that, because it's a UV measurement and it's very faulty. So what happens with a UV measurement in an ICP, and that's for everybody now, is that you have sensors that measure the UV, but these sensors, because UV is a very aggressive light spectrum, get hurt. They get hurt earlier. They break earlier. Okay, so you need to understand that. Then the other sensors, that sensors, they won't even get damaged at all. Okay, so just to let you know. And also UV is the UV light itself is inhibited by, so there's argon in that structure, and this argon gets a little bit dirty, and that dirt mostly affects UV, the UV spectrum. So what you have with the UV measurement is it actually works different, or ages different than the other lines in your ICP measurement. So that means that you need to look at your UV maybe in 6 months, and everything UV will go lower and lower, while the rest will just look normal, and you can still measure it. And that's why we do not do the chloride measurement on an ICP, even if we could. We can measure it, right? We have a UV section on our ICP, but we don't do it. And that's why, because it will kind of show lower over time. So what we do is we look at the sodium and at all the other elements, and we calculate the chloride out of them, because that's very much possible without any problem. Otherwise you would be super acidic or way too high in pH. So this is an absolute normal measurement. And that would mean that your sodium is always low, because that's the only way your chloride can get that low when you calculate it, or something else is very low. If you are measuring with us, if you're not measuring with us and somebody else is doing the chloride measurement, it might be that mistake they do, that they kind of do not recalibrate that chloride all the time to make sure that this is a correct measurement, and then it shows low. The other thing that I would say is it is very dangerous to add chloride alone. I don't know how you're doing that, because that would be chloric like acid, right? Like there will be, that's an acidic solution you're adding there, a very heavy acidic solution. So I don't know. We definitely need to help you with that,
I
Sven,
would
if you
say
come back.
test your salinity. If you've not, maybe your salinity is just low, and that could be sending an ICP, and I don't know.
The ICP would say that, though.
I
Our
guess that's
ICP
true.
would
Yeah,
right away.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's what makes me worried a little bit. So Sven, if you can't follow me because I'm talking English, also let me know, and I will talk in German for that reason. But that's a strange situation, and I think you really need help with that. That's not good. And yes, and like I say, I can say it in German. You can write in German. I'll translate it. But yeah, that's a bit of a strange thing. Okay. Um. Okay. So yeah. He said he changed over. That was the first one. He came back. So it was 0 on Triton. He changed over to something else. It went up. He came back to Triton. It went to 0 again, which is, Sven, that's what you want, honestly. That's what you want. You just pump in fish and you're happy. Like when we were younger, or when I was younger, because Salem's still very young in a box. When I was younger, people came to me and they always had high nutrients. Like it was this was what we were fighting for, low nutrients, right? Because we wanted to keep fish, and we were keeping like 5 fish, and the nutrients were high, So it's about, if you go, Julian always says, and Julian is not here, but Julian always says, like, if you have problems with nutrients too low, just add fish and feed them. That's the way, and it's really good, because it's a really good kind of combination of how to run a tank. If you add nitrate or phosphate, that's not the chemical versions of them. They're not like perfectly bioavailable or something. And people like right now that use urea, for example, which is much better organic form of nutrient in a tank. And I would do that rather than actually go chemical nitrate, like potassium nitrate or something. But then again, from the same logic, I would go fish before I go urea.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is just something like that would work, Okay, Salem, sorry. We're not coming to your questions, Salem, today.
That's
I think
okay.
they're just jumping on us. That's all right.
Briefing by design.
Oh, Nick again. That's UK. It's very late for him. He's already very happy.
No, he added, I make my own frozen mix. I use squid and cuttlefish for iodine input, for example.
No, what's going on there? All right. So
They don't like Nick's question.
no. Oh, the neighbor. That's the neighbor dogs.
Oh.
They're trying to eat something again.
Oh, check it.
Just check it. All right.
You can go
Yeah.
through here. There's more.
Yeah, there's more questions on Instagram. I think I'll just always check in on YouTube and stuff, but there's not too much right now. So let's go. Nick is saying he's mixing up his own frozen food, which is very
That's
good, Nick.
good.
That's
Yeah.
Yep, that's good. With cuttlefish and for iodine. He's doing his yeah. Nick, that sounds great. We could possibly put you on once and just that's interesting. So okay, he thinks education is needed in fish nutrition.
Yep.
And what
Agree.
sources of nutrition what nutritional sources are
That
available
was
and
the
stuff.
one live we talked about doing, Isan. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
ways
I
to
agree.
add traces without adding traces.
Yeah, exactly. We actually had that with barium and stuff, haven't we?
Mhm.
That's the way we do it, like honestly. So no, that's a great one. That's a great one. Again, I think this life is pretty much the one that every other life that we do will kind of get created out. Like there's a lot of ideas in here. So thoughts on dosing bacteria. My
Oh
new
boy.
tank is 4 month old, and I'm adding Microbacter 7 weekly, using 70% live rock on this new tank. That's Rob the Reefer. Yeah, you go with bacteria because that's yours. That's your
Well,
you go a new thing.
I'm not gonna reference any particular brands, but I will say that I do not think that adding bacteria to systems besides potentially nitrifiers is something valuable, and that from what I have seen, there are actually no saltwater or reef associated strains of bacteria on the market in a bottle. Most all of these bacteria that are sold in bottles are bacterial strains that are used in agriculture and the human probiotics industry or wastewater, and they're repackaged because they're really cheap to buy. And they do what the bottle says. Those bacteria will live and they'll eat nitrates and phosphates and clean the tank. But long term, I think that there could be issues to where they're almost like an invasive species. They don't live naturally in a saltwater environment. They won't reproduce there, but they will eat the same things that other good bacteria that live with your corals will eat. So if you're continually adding these types of cleaning products, then you could disrupt the microbiome and maybe you can have some coral disease happen long term. So I'm very skeptical of those types of products. And I think if we're trying to run a tank in a natural way, it's not the natural way to do it. Live rock's better, like you're adding.
Yeah, 70% live rock will have a lot of bacteria on it. If you have good live rock. And Rob, the other thing is, he's right. Sam was absolutely right with that. And it's again, you think of it in a way of you get a need for that stuff. So you really putting competition up. So you have bacteria and you put competing bacteria on top of them, then you will end up with one of the strains. And if you are the person that permanently adds them, then you will kill the other bacteria because there's no food left for them. There's nothing left for them to survive on. And that's also not a good thing. I mean, it is definitely a problem solving thing. And you have all these different types of aquariums. That's where we're coming from. Like, this is also something that Salem kind of experienced now being at Triton. Maybe dive a little bit deeper, is that if you look at our industry, the industry is based on however you want, you run your tank. Like, it's really like, you can go in the shop and you have all these different things and you never run it like your neighbor because you would just put something else on, another filter, another whatever. You use bacteria, the other guy doesn't. The other one uses dead rock, use live rock. So there's like all these different things, right? And for this type of aquarium, you need a lot of different kind of tools to be able to go against all the problems you can have, right? Because when the guy is not having live rock, literally, and just like rock, man-made rock, let's say, then possibly he might need that bacteria because he literally do not have the other bacteria that he's getting from the live rock. And otherwise it won't maybe work at all. But in a case of what we do is we try to recreate nature, and we have a holistic method. So it means that we kind of try to get rid of all these problems in another way, in the way that we, you know, puzzle things together, that work with each other and support each other. And if you have that, there's literally no need for adding external lower grade stuff, let's say, you know, stuff that is not belonging in a method like that or things. So we try to get it better and better, but after 18 years it's pretty good, you know. So
Yeah.
just to make you understand, there's two sides, two views on all these things, because you're going external. I just want to say to you, to just explain that to you, if I wouldn't have an ICP right now, I would do water changes, you know, because you need to have this external tool gives me the ability to look at my water better. But if I don't know if there's lead or copper or something building up in my tank, I would rather do a water change to avoid that, you know? So it is a logical thing. And that's the same thing with bacteria, same thing with everything else, you know?
I think those tools are good for fish only systems, for freshwater systems, but for a reef tank, if you're running the Triton method and have your, you know, the ratios in the right way, then you're going to cultivate the good bacteria anyways, because they'll have the environment to thrive. So adding them's not needed.
Exactly. And we didn't even look when I created the Triton method, it wasn't, there was no Salem, because I know how old he was.
I wasn't
again.
born.
Yeah, maybe. But I didn't think about bacteria then, you know. I just literally, I didn't think about there was nobody talking about anything microbiome, right? We just used live rock and that's it, right? But now the funny thing is, more and more you dive into it, and more like we evolve right now, and it's going fast. I actually need to say it's really nice, you know. And having a microbiologist on the team is perfect, right? But this is the point where you go and then you realize, oh, okay, what I do is successful because, you know, we keep the flow up, we keep the oxygen up, you know, and all this kind of contributes, because one other guy, there's another scientist somewhere, he found out that that's good because the viruses are important, maybe, you know. And we don't know, we didn't know. I didn't ever thought about a virus when I said 10 times turnover, right? But that obviously helps, you know. So just to let you know, not everything is in science also is that there is a lot of things that are luck based or anecdotal and then turn out to be right. So we're not against these things, right? Just to let you know. Okay, so where are we at? Do we have any other question right now, Lindy? Moses saying,
what was the zeobit bacteria?
what? So yeah, Mo is asking about something that you might not know, but it's fine. What
I know
was the
about
zeobit?
zeobit.
Yeah, but what was the bacteria they used?
Who knows?
Those only for growing in the. Okay, can I answer that?
Yeah, you
Because
if
I
you
might
if
know.
you know the
Yeah,
strain, then yeah, but that's
yeah,
proprietary stuff. Who knows?
yeah. Well, yeah, it is. So you were literally not adding bacteria back then, as far as I know. Um, because when you look at the bottle, so if you smell it, it's acidic. It was more, you know, a food source for bacteria you would add every day. So it was organic carbon, which is still used more. And when you look at the bottle itself, like, you know, bacteria is not easy. So there's some bacteria that are easy to keep alive. Okay, just to let you know. And there are microbiologists here. He can maybe, you know, say something to that. But I know that there is a lot of bacteria that are not easy to keep alive in, especially not in a bottle that is just standing in a shop for like 6 months, not cooled down to any temperature specifically. Um, you know, it is possible to freeze dry them and stuff and then recultivate them. That's what normally, and like, again, like I learned that 23 4 years ago. Okay, so just so this is old information. Maybe you are way ahead of my time as a microbiologist right here. But what we tend to do is we have a bank. We ask for the strain, then the strain gets delivered in a little powder form. Normally, you know, you can you could in the past get them already activated, like alive already, but otherwise you need to make them alive. Like you put them on something, put the agar on, so the food for them, and then when you do that, you after a time you get more and more bacteria. That's the way, like, that's literally the way we did it in the past. And you can get strains out of the ocean if you want, but they are not easy to keep alive. That's really hard, and it's sometimes are really hard to cultivate too. Like they need different agars, and you have like a whole cookbook for bacteria then, and you bubble them up, and you do stuff. So yeah, when you look at that, it's very unlikely, that there is so many different ones, and a company would be able to really go down that route and find one and make it keepable and then sell it just for a real low amount of money on the shelf. It's especially not that time. We're talking about like ages ago, So yeah, like at least 30 years ago, right? At least, I would say. Yeah, that's what is my conclusion. Like logically, 99% is just coral. It's just food. It's just a organic carbon source. Okay, just to let you know more, right? Yeah, you can say something to it, because you're the
No, yeah,
microbiologist.
yeah. I would go on a rant for 20 minutes about it, but yeah,
No,
I
no,
find
no.
I find it very unlikely they have ocean source bacteria in a bottle on a shelf. Yeah, there's
we
probably some natural contamination in the organic carbon source. Maybe you're dosing that. I don't know. I don't know about the product. So
we you know what? We should I should explain the things you're going angry, and you should explain the things I'm going angry, because that's short, and then
yeah,
that's
that's
short
good.
enough.
Yeah, I would it
That's
would have taken me too long. Good. Yeah.
that's that's maybe the best way to do it. Okay, so then we have so somebody, no, that's just Reefer Q8 is on. Um okay, so most the pumps the stones to Oh yeah, the then
That was
pumps the
Neovit.
stones to shed the bacteria. Yeah, they're pumping. Yeah, you can do that with
Jiggle.
everything.
Yeah.
It is this is detritus, man. Like they like that. Yeah, my corals like it too. I sometimes just put it in the tank from the sump. Just mix it up. That works too. I'm just yeah, exactly. I'm just reading through this. So Matthew is okay. So Matthew is asking if the saltwater tank is started with nothing live and ammonia was added, would bacteria come about naturally? That's a good question for you, Salem. Would that happen?
If you're
So
really close. Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
adds
Like if
ammonia.
if it's just dry rock and ammonia, theoretically, yes. So you would have some stuff from the environment that would be able to adapt, whether it's on your hands or in the air. Um, Funny fact: if you live close to an ocean, you're likely to get a lot of natural biodiversity because a lot of those microbes are carried on the wind from the ocean. So if you're like within 50 miles of a beach, it's really likely to happen then. But I would say that even if you start a tank with dry rock and just add ammonia, you're still not going to get the type of biodiversity you would have if you added live rock. It'll be a functional and stable community and the tank will cycle, but it won't be the same. But if you're adding coral, you're going to get a lot of it from that. Coral's just a slime ball covered with millions of bacteria. So adding that to your tank, adding fish to your tank from their waste and stuff, you're going to get plenty over time. Will it be the same quality? But it'll work.
Salem, can I ask you one thing, just because out of my interest? So a lot of people would do like a dead reef, like a dead rock reef, and then they'll ask me. So I just want to put, so, like, do I need to put a live piece of live rock between them, for example? And I always say, yeah, definitely, because you want to have the strains and everything. So put them in, right, and put some live rocks in between. But then they always ask me, how long do you think it will take the the live rock to turn the dead rock into live rock. You know what I mean? Like they're really thinking about how fast the bacteria could move into, or and I never know that. I always say like it takes some time out of experience, right? Um, but out of biological knowledge, I know that bacteria are not slow for any reason, you know. But you know, in your, it's just not. I don't want you to know this. I just want you to give, you know, to pick your mind on that. Um, is there any factor that could inhibit that fast speed of them? So they will obviously, you know, live inside the rock or whatever. Or is there anything you would think we people can do to accelerate that? Because a lot of them actually have that situation. You know, they go that rock and then they keep. Is there anything you might, you know, right now thinking of it, have a brainstorm on it?
Yeah, so I've got a couple functional, very practical ideas, and a couple wacky ideas. So so
We call them the box ideas.
the
That's right.
box ideas. Yeah, I've been working in here. So it's going to depend on. I think it's definitely good to do that. I think that starting a tank completely dry is. If you're adding live sand, I think that's even better than live rock because you get more surface area. So that's going to be even better. But a lot of the really fast growing bacteria are actually not the good bacteria. A lot of the really good bacteria take quite a long time to grow, which is why they're not in a bottle. It takes them even a week to double once. So it's
Wow.
completely different than what we typically think about. Now, some things you could do to help speed up the spread of that biodiversity, I think turning the temperature up. I think providing them with the things like ammonia. I think that here's the wacky idea: dosing Coca-Cola could help. Um, there was a public aquarium that had a really hard time cycling a cold water tank for like beluga whales or something. They were stuck at the phase where they had to grow the nitrite oxidizers. So they eat nitrite and they turn it into nitrate. And for 2 months, they couldn't happen. So the aquarium curator was crazy and did a bunch of research and figured out that the nitrite reducing and oxidizing bacteria basically needed phosphoric acid and organic carbon, and the cheapest available source of it was Coca-Cola. So
Oh my
there's actually
God.
a paper. I helped a guy recently whose tank was stuck in that phase, who was doing dry rock only, and I said dose Coke at this rate, and it worked. So his tank cycled in a week.
Okay, so Salem, next time before we do a live, we write to Coca-Cola because we want money for this. Okay, so
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is a business thing. We can't give Coca-Cola advice without taking money for it. just talking. That's So yeah, so that's a in the box. That happens when you're in the box. You get very crazy ideas. But it's that guy was in the box too. I got him here. The same curator. He was in the box. I'm pretty sure he had that idea in there. But yeah, like that's crazy. I didn't even know the 1 week thing, you know. So that
Oh,
was
yeah.
for me a important important question. So yeah, it takes long. It realistically takes long. You could add Coca-Cola, but I wouldn't do that
I wouldn't do
literally
that
to the
either.
tank.
That's crazy
But
stuff.
but
Yeah.
it is maybe something in future comes up and we can work on it.
That's the
Together that
ugly
helps that.
phase is you can have a cycled tank, but the right bacteria still not might not be there to balance it. And that's what I think the ugly phase is. So it's
Yeah,
gonna take
yeah.
a while. The more live you add, the better, I think.
Yeah,
So
I mean, out of anecdotal or experience, you know, and I'll still say that you just be a bit patient. You know,
yeah.
this hobby is a bit of a patient hobby. If you're impatient, you need to control that a little bit because that's what's hurting your tank. You know, and it's still what we do still over all these years is we do a lot of science on the reef keeper. You know, so the reef keeper is a 50% or more factor. My God, that's
Is that
not
a
they're
cock
not monkeys.
is it a
That's
kookaburra?
Yeah, it is. It's not
That's
one.
crazy.
It's not one. Oh, then next door I can see them on the roof. Oh, that will go crazy. It will be really loud soon, but that's fine. Um, but now, but what is You can hear them in the box, can't you? You're here.
I
You're
can
here
hear them.
anyway. So,
I
yeah.
can, the window. It's I have open window.
So no, don't do that to me, man. That's what I really had a hard time to not laugh on that video. So no, so what was it? What was I talking about? I was
Cycling
talking about
tanks, ugly
cycling
face.
tanks, uh, ugly face, and yeah, the practical part. So yeah, so it is out of, like I say, out of, you need to control that kind of urge of doing something sometimes, and otherwise a reef keeper always do that mistake. So we have 50% is the person that is running the reef, that is the issue, and 50% is things that he doesn't know. Really, that's the point, right? Like, it is you, the way the person is living, sometimes it is something he can't control. He's gone fly in, fly out. For example, people go on 1 week and come back 1 week home, right? And this person has an aquarium, so for sure he needs something that controls the week, because he's not there. It's not only like personal, like I'm patient or something like that. And there's so many little things the personal way that it kind of, we need to make work for people. And on the other side, it is what they don't know. So the information about the products, sales, marketing, all this stuff that plays into what this guy then uses. It's yeah, it's also a thing. So be patient. I think one of the most important ones for a reef keeper. So just quickly, so Sven, the German guy. He's measuring with us. This is good, and Marco has a lot of information about it. So I will. This is our German, main support person. So I will go to Marco, Sven. I'll talk to him about it. Um, yeah. Okay. He's saying in Europe there is a lot of bacterial problems and dying fish. Not with him. He's fine. He's doing Triton, he says. But yeah. So he's saying if we're planning a bacterial screening, because in Europe there is a lot of fish death based on bacteria. They have a lot of bacterial problems. I don't know. That I'm not in Europe anymore, Sven. So I didn't even know that. I can look it up with Salem a little bit and check if that's true. And Nick is in Europe. Nick, you hear anything too much? Reefing by design? Let me know. But yeah, no, we're not really talking about what we're planning, to be honest, Sven. We're very protective about that. Um, but it would be interesting. The question is, if not, somebody is already doing something like that, or maybe we can find somebody to promote that is doing something like that. Because it's kind of, we are chemistry now. We're starting a little bit of microbiology, which is good, because which is a really big part, I think, of the future of reef keeping. But yeah, let's see. Let's see. I bet I have enough manpower for that, Salem, to do something like that. But let's see.
There's only one of me in the box.
Yeah, I need to get you bigger box then.
Bigger
And I
box.
don't want. I'm not sure if I want that. He's still so happy in there when things are easy and little. Okay. Okay. So would bacteria on macroalgae be more beneficial than bottled bacteria? Matthew is asking that. What do you think, Salem?
I really like to say this is kind of echoes what I said earlier. I think that bottled bacteria is a tool for a job, and that job is not often needed in reef aquariums. I think that you're likely to get a more natural dose or addition of bacteria by just adding things from other systems: live rock, macroalgae, fish, coral, and that's probably the best way to do it. Maybe the nitrifying stuff. Like I said, I don't want to talk about brand names, but there is at least one brand out there that does have reef associated or saltwater nitrifying bacteria. That would probably be a benefit in cycling a tank. So, yep.
So, Mo is saying, so was Dr. Tim's PhD a waste of time then?
That is the product that does have the saltwater associated nitrifiers that I like. So perfect timing. There you go. That one I do think is good. He's got Archaea too. It's a good one.
We're a good team, Salem. We're a good team. Okay. Yes, there are some problems with fish bacteria. Yeah, Nick is saying that in Europe there is some problems with fish bacteria. Um, I think people over anxious with medication spectrum and affecting fish slime coat and immunity. Okay, so that's what it seems to be a problem.
Interesting.
So fish cycle likely better option. Matthew
Oh,
Tank Tech.
I didn't. I think the cycle is there's no cycle and you throw everything in at once. I think that's the best option. If I'm going to be honest, instant tank, but that is only if you have enough coral and existing rock to do that. If you're starting a new tank, that's very dangerous option. So
Matthew, look at it this way, okay? So let's say it is you. It's not what you need to do, right? I'm telling you that. So you are a reef keeper, and I respect that because I have a lot of friends that are like that. That wants to do something, okay? But there is literally maybe no need you to do anything. You can just put live rock in there and you're fine. You go away. You need to wait a little bit longer, maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then you're done, right? That's what we're saying here. But the other way is an uncertain way right now. There is no real information. It's hard to assess what will happen if you put in bacteria and stuff. So, we right now, then there is a hybrid version of it, which is use the natural way sources of bacteria, try to grow them and still have dead rock. And maybe that hybrid is the best way to do it. Just think of yourself. There is no need to do that. If you go live rock, if you go, coral at one point, you have the Triton method, you have algae in the sump. That's a very biological way. There is no need for adding bacteria. So you have choices, right? But it's your choice. Like it is always how you want to do your tank. That's the point of it, right? And if one of these ways, for me as a scientist, if one of these ways is uncertain, it is already have a lower grade for me to decide towards it. You know what I mean? That's the way we think. We do not think this is not possible. We're scientists. Impossible is the worst. Like, not possible is the worst thing a scientist can say. We're not thinking that way. We should think everything is possible, right? But in a specific situation, and you have choices, you choose by how certain something might work. And that's right now still the way of live rock, animals, everything natural. That's the most certain way you can keep a tank for 12 years and make it thrive. That's what it is, right? And nothing. We're not against anything. We're not for anything. We just balance and value the things this way. So just to make you understand sometimes why we give specific question or answers to questions, right? Because obviously Salem is a microbiologist. He likes bacteria. He knows what they're capable of, right? But in that situation of a reef tank, he thinks this. You know what I mean? Like in the moment, and maybe in 10, 20 years, we think different because there's other tools, other things. Like I say, if I wouldn't have an ICP-OS, I would do water changes. I'm not in that situation right now. I have an ICP-OS, so I don't do water changes. That's the way of thinking. Just to clarify on some stuff, because some people always think we're very against some stuff, but we're not. So, what about old school add a prawn technique? Mo, I don't know. You go. Say it.
That's so if I am going to actually cycle a tank from scratch, I like the idea of adding like cutting up a table shrimp and adding that because in my mind you've got a more diversity of carbon sources and inorganic sources versus just adding ammonium chloride. I feel like there would be a better balance of things that would grow compared to just adding ammonia and nitrifiers. But it also, it's gonna be a little dirty. It's gonna be smell. It's got its own cons.
Sounds very Australian, to add a shrimp, but it's okay. We'll leave that. That's all right. I will. I don't know. I never do it. I just like say I just never do it. Never did it. So I can't really comment on that. You can do it. Definitely, it's just waste into your tank and we'll
Yeah.
start it. But I think you can just start tank too. It's fine. Mo is saying add 50 chromies, Nick. That's for Nick.
Uranema hotspot.
Yeah. Oh my god. I
Half will
have
die.
done. I have done. Yes. Nick is saying yes. I have done. Next one will be the 50 yellow-tailed damsels.
Oh my god.
That's pretty good. All right. I don't have any questions on the Instagram. I think we run through all of them.
Okay.
Okay. So what your what the oh no, I did something wrong. I just jumped out and now
You're here.
all the
Yeah.
all the questions will be gone. So
Oh, on Instagram. Oh.
yeah, that's Linda's thing. Anyway, all right. So okay, thoughts on old school deep sand beds. Can I take that one?
Yeah, you take that one. Yeah.
All right, Matthew, I do not like deep sand beds. There is a chemical reason for that, right? And that was because we did a lot of testing like this 18 years and we found that there are a little bit of a time bomb, you know? So the sand bed itself is not deep enough. That's the point. Okay, so a sand bed in the ocean, we looked at the ocean version of it, is much deeper than that's a deep sand bed. That's like a 1 meter or 2 meter deep like sand bed, right? So and that thing is its own little ecosystem and it works really well. It kind of, bacteria and the anaerobic ones they chew up on the oxygen in the ions in the chemical compounds like nitrate and sulfate and stuff. They take the oxygen, breathe it, and then they free up that kind of, I mean, in a very simple way, I say that free that other part up, and it goes up, and then in that upper layers it gets reoxidized, so it gets sulfate again, it gets nitrate again, maybe, it just, there's a lot of whole things happening in the whole 1 meter, right? The problem is in the aquarium a deep sand bed is just this much, like 10, and that is, really uncontrollable which part of the 1 meter you will actually get in that little bit, and that's sometimes quite dangerous. So if it really is the anaerobic part where acids are created, like there's organic acids that will be created, there is and that could kind of drop your pH, or maybe, and they get out of it. This is the problem, like, because it's not that much, all these things just halfway, it's not a whole cycle, halfway they get out, and you get like this halfway product, and it's sometimes that's like like hydrogen sulfate,
Yeah.
and that's horrible, so and this is kind of, you don't want that, you just really do not want this uncontrolled situation. A much better way is gone without sand. That's more controlled. It's bad biologically for your wresses and stuff, because they need to have a place to live and sleep, but it's better than having the uncontrolled half deep sand bed, let's call it that, because it's not deep at all, so that's really an important thing. I've seen a lot of aquariums, really out of nothing, just beautiful tanks, just they lost it, people lost them because of something happened, and it was always, you could see it on the sulfate, you can, it's, sometimes you can't, because they take nitrate, they do whatever, you just uncontrolled, too much space for chaos. That's my opinion. Okay, just to let you know. Yeah, if you want to say, Salem, if you have anything.
No, yeah, I agree. Unless you have a 12-foot deep sand bed, you're not going to get the promised effect. It's going to probably cause problems. I agree.
Yeah, because it is not a deep one. It is called deep sand bed, but it's just a bit of more.
There's a reason that we decided to ditch plenums in the 90s. Yeah.
That it is. Yep, true. Uncontrolled. Salem, when you will experiment with the oxygen concentrator?
There's lots of things happening in the box right now.
Yeah. And he only has like every week he got like his he's applying for new stuff, so he's only have a limit of tickets to apply for stuff. So it's not everything happening at the same time. Just so they know. So that's the way it works here. So Cristiano Hunger from Brazil. Have a nice life. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Cristiano. We have. It's interesting. It's gone too long soon. I think Sana will need to go to sleep soon. No, actually, you're in Australia. No,
It's
you're
2
not.
p.m.
You're still, yeah, 2 p.m. It's not. So,
Bedtime early tonight. They're closing the box.
I'll come with your drink, man. I'll need to refresh it. Any suggestions today? Any suggestions for your
maybe one of
energy drink?
the orange creamsicle monsters. That'd be
Ooh,
good.
Yeah, all right. You'll love it. I'll put it on. Okay, interesting. You say that had success with a trash can that was 90% full of sand.
That's a lot deeper sand bed. That's super deep sand bed. That's closer to what you would find in the ocean, but that's not practical for everyone, and it can still produce those byproducts. I think you gotta not disturb that like ever.
Can I say something, Matthew? You definitely talk in Salem's language. Okay, I have a hard time understanding what you're talking about. So in written form too. Just to let you know, it's good. I'm getting old. That's what I feel. I'm getting old. RDSB, Matthew.
Real deep sand bed. Yeah.
See?
Yeah,
See?
that might work. That might work, but that'd probably work better than like the little 2-inch thing. Yeah.
That's so funny. My God, that's so funny. And I think I need to get one of my kids on here for at one point. That's just okay. Salem sent you my 50 chrome cycle video to your messenger. All right,
No.
it seems to be a real thing, Salem. 50 chromies.
Oh, it was
Nick
not. Yes, let's see.
Nick is crazy. Nick is having his own box. You need to know that. He's having a UK box. They're really bad. Nobody wants to live in a UK box. Australia's boxes much better.
Hold up, I
Much
might
better.
be able to. Let's see. I can share it to screen potentially. I can show.
Oh
we
my
can
God.
show everyone the
cycle.
Let's see.
The cycle that comes out of a.
You have to add it at the bottom to the.
Yeah.
There we go.
Here you go. That is oh, look, the one guy is going crazy. They're hitting him. Oh my God, no.
Man.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely
crazy.
working. Is that similar? Is that similar to the shrimp one, Nick? Because they might all kill themselves, and the dead ones, just asking. Okay, I'll remove it again.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is something for the UK box. Okay, Masha is out laughing. Okay, Selim. Okay, yeah, oxygen concentrator. We had that. Okay, oxygen concentrator in a box sounds like a must-have, I guess. Matthew is saying, Salem, and Matthew is a sandbed king. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Oh, he's saying remote deep sand bed.
I like real deep sand bed better. That's funny. It's real deep.
So why in the high pH environment precipitating happens a lot? Well,
Ooh.
That is a very chemical thing.
30 minutes later.
Yeah, that's a very chemical thing. It's just because, you have a lot of the components available in that situation that go right away together, right? So as more pH you have more CO3, you end up with things colliding more often. That's the most simple explanation for it. Okay, so high pH, but doesn't mean really high pH. It's when you look at the reef tank, we're talking 0.2. 8.4 is high pH, 8.2 is normal pH. So that's not high pH, right? That's not a high pH. That's a more availability of something that you add. And if you add, for example, core 7, then you're adding more towards CO3s, towards carbonates, and they will easier precipitate with calcium than hydrogen carbonate would, because you kind of need another little bit of reaction there. So That's the only. It's not really the high pH. It's what you're dosing, what you're adding, how much calcium is available, because you are already in a super saturated area chemically with calcium and magnesium. Um, if you have even more calcium and you can, then you have more precipitation too. There's like a little box diagram you can look up, and it's about calcium and alkalinity. And if you have both very high, you have a lot of precipitation. If you have one of them too high, you also have a lot of precipitation. So you need to stay inside that box. The other thing you need to know is magnesium will break up that precipitation. So will break up that crystal. If you have more magnesium the same time, you will have actually not that much precipitation that you would expect. So it's a very dynamic thing and a very chemical. And I can go and talk about this for ages, but it's really not helping you, right? Like just try to keep the calcium and the KH, like the alkalinity in range, like around 7, 8, natural 6.7 or something. So keep it natural, like 7, 8, just a little bit of buffer, and calcium the same way, and you should be much better precipitation wise. Okay, so I think we need to slowly come to an end here. I need to say that we are not having that many questions right now anymore. That's all right.
Yep.
And we have one more thing happening here. We need to be very careful with your phone, because if I touch it, then I lose questions sometimes. Oh no, they went into a client's big tank.
Oh, the
Okay, so
crumbs.
they're talking to each other. Yeah. Okay. So one more question of Matthew. Thoughts on the combo of Core 7 and calcium format? Well, it will work. It always works. It's just organic carbon you're adding again, Matthew. So we really need to avoid a bit of organic carbon. That organic carbon stuff is exactly the same problematic like the deep sand bed. It's a bit uncontrolled, so you run into a situation of no control. It can work for 1 year, it can work for 2 years, and that's somehow also the problem with it, because people use them and then it works for them for 3 months or 6 months, and then it crashes sometimes. And then they go back to the logic of, oh, it can't be the organic carbon because it worked for me for 6 months. So it is something else. And that is a big issue we have right now. And this is a very much product like that, and the deep sand bed is sadly similar, so when you have an uncontrolled situation and a thing that is, a little bit, not sure, right? Then and it works for people for a year, and maybe even the tank is there's just frags in there, so you're not adding that much of organic carbon, so you have like less organic carbon input, and it turns around and gets inorganic carbon, and you get everything out of it, and everything is fine. And after a year they all grow, and you add more and more, and they grow more, and you add more and more and more, and then it crashes. And even people then would say, oh wow, but it looked so good and it was growing so well over 2 years. It can't be. I will do it again. And we had that issue with calcium bromide before. We had so many things, that was exactly like that. And I sadly, out of my experience and the logical thinking, need to say this is a very similar thing, and it was there before. It wasn't format, it was acetate, which is very much similar. It's organic carbon in one bottle. If you dose it, and it never went that far that people would have an amazing, massive super tank for 3, 4, 5 years, with that product. And it was way before format, like way before that, right? But before I had my company, it was before that time. And there was another company coming up with it. And again, and that is the reason for it, right? So, you know, be careful. Be careful. There is no issue. You can use Core 7 with everything. We use Core 7 with a calcium reactor in combination. We use infusion, like infusion with the calcium reactor without Core 7. So that all the things can work, no problem. But as soon as it's organic carbon, you have the issue of uncertainty, and that's not a nice thing, So We cannot literally sell or, promote something that is uncertain. I don't want that, because somebody comes to me and it's my fault. Then it's my fault that I told you, as a scientist, somebody knowing that you can use something because it works for somebody else and it might work forever. It might, yeah, uncertain. That's the point. Anyway, so calcium reactor then sold. Yes, you can do that, man. Definitely, definitely. That's what I'm doing, a combination right now, just because it's really cool. You can nail down your pH. So there's two ways of supporting your tank with calcium and alkalinity, and it's always an extreme onto one side. Either it's high pH or it is low pH. So high pH, super high pH, calcium, kalkwasser, right? Um, Super low pH, there's solutions for that too. I'm not going to tell you because that's too dangerous. But
Yeah.
yeah. So, but the calcium reactor is a low pH version, while the Core 7 is a high pH version. And the big aquariums, like the 20,000 liter calcium, the Cairns aquarium, they use a calcium reactor and Core 7 and balance them so they nail their pH on one spot. That's awesome. So you can do that. If you need help, just let us know. That's a really good one. Anyway, I think does Triton use coconut carbon? No, we don't, Mo. We just use standard mined carbon, mineral carbon. All right. I think we wrap this up. That was really long. 1 hour and 1 hour and a half. I really enjoyed it.
Yep.
I think there's not too many questions coming up anymore, and then we have more lives coming up, boys. We are going to Reeferpalooza and Salem. I'll take him with him. I'll take him in the luggage, in his box. I'll take him with me. He will be there, and if you want to meet us on the show, we are. I think 811 is our booth, a little booth on the side somewhere, but we're bringing a lot of new things and.
Mhm.
Marketing decided not to talk about it today, which we're not going to do. We're going to talk about it next week, which, you need to still be excited a little bit, but I'm very excited. Salem is very excited, so it will be really good. And it will be very new. So it's a real innovation somehow. I really like it. And yes, just stay tuned. I think this week maybe we'll have another live in the week. We're going to be flying on Tuesday, and so there will be a Tuesday, Wednesday kind of time where we put out stuff all the time, but not be really reachable, just to let you know. And it's not too far away, not like Orlando, so don't worry about us. We'll be fine. But yes, we'll meet you there. Make sure you come in. I have my talk there too on Sunday, at 1:00. But anyway, if you're around California and you come into the show, feel invited to come and visit us. Okay, and you can make pictures with Salem in his box. We'll have Salem in the box, and you can make pictures with him and maybe win something. We're still coming up with some stuff. Okay.
There's one final question I got to address because it's a dangerous one. So aquarium teacher says, I have tasted organic carbon products with my tongue. Some taste like vinegar, sugar, or lemon juice. I will say, do not do that, because I know one product is methanol, which is toxic to humans if ingested. So I would quit doing that.
Don't do test anything with your tongue. That's not the way you do it. This is actually not allowed, okay? At all. That's true. That's very good.
That was the last thing. I wanted to definitely address that one. But come see us in California.
But all of this also, yes, aquarium teacher, that's all organic carb. Vinegar, alcohol, sugar, whatever sugar, it's all organic carb. Like, it doesn't matter, So just let know. Okay, guys, thank you very much. It was a great live. Thank you very much, Salem, for coming on. You obviously can now apply for something new, because
I hope I can get a urinal this week.
Yeah, no problem. We'll sort it out. They need to be deliverable. We're obviously in the jungle, so I'll try to get one for you. Okay. Have a good one, guys. Thank you very much, and hopefully see you in the next lives next week. Take care.
Yep.
Have a good one.
See you, everyone. Bye.
See you, mate.